Good morning, students. Today is 27th of August 2020, and we are here to continue our lesson, that is the King's Choice. We know that last time we had seen about the journey, we had seen about the journey, the king's lion, the lion and his courtiers in the forest. And that time we studied about how the fox made understood to the camel to follow him to the king. Because what was the plan? The king and the courtiers, the plan was the camel's meat, the killing of the camel, and to arrange the feast in the forest, and what we can say, to arrange the feast in the forest and to eat the meat of the camel. It was the plan of the king and his courtiers. But we have seen the king could not reach the camel. The king could not reach the camel because of hot sun. Because of hot sun, and already the king had the burnt paws, and because of that the king could not reach the camel. But the fox went to the camel, made him understood your master has been killed by our king, and now you are free. With these words he tried to made him understand, and finally the fox made him understood and brought him to the king. Next, what would be happen? See here, page number 12. The camel followed the fox. Finally the camel was ready to follow the fox to reach the king. When the fox and the camel reached the lion's camp, the vulture and the leopard were surprised. Who went the camel? The fox went to the camel, made him understood, and he successfully brought him to the camel. And when the camel and the fox came to the king, the rest of the courtiers, vulture and the leopard, were surprised to see what is this. What is this means? The fox successfully brought him to the camel to the king's court. They were very surprised. What is this? What happened this? The vulture and the leopard were surprised. Even the lion shocked. Even the lion looked pleased, and in spite of his burnt paws. See here, when the camel came to the king, in the court of the king, the leopard and the vulture were surprised. They were surprised. Even the king lion also very pleased to see what the fox successfully brought to the camel in his court. Now it's time to arrange the feast and to eat the meat of the camel. The camel was presented to kill. He agreed to serve the lion in return for home at his court. See here, what happened? What would happen in the court after bringing to the camel the king of the court? The camel was presented to the king. Who was presented to the king? Who was the camel presented to the king? The fox presented camel to the king. He agreed to serve the lion in return for home at his court. He agreed to serve the lion in return for home at his court. Get on the camel's back. Now all they were ready to go to the court, because master was killed. Whose master? The camel master was no more. The camel master was killed by the king. Now the camel was free, and in return, if the king is helping me by offering the home, really I am ready to offer him the food. In this situation, all the the king and the courtiers and the camel ready to go to the court of the king. Get on the camel's back, your majesty, said the fox. We will return home. Get on the camel's back, your majesty, said the fox, we will return home. It means the king sat on the back of the camel and all they were moving to the court direction. The lion at once jumped onto the camel's back. His courtiers, the fox and the leopard, jumped up behind him, and with the vulture flying ahead as a guide, they set off on the long journey back to the forest. Yes. Finally, what happened? The king sat on the back of the camel, and the other what can say who courtiers, the fox and the leopard. Fox and the leopard also sat behind the king, and the vulture was flying in the sky, flying in the air just as a guide. And then they set off on the long journey back to the forest. Now they started their journey to the back to their court. When the travelers reached the forest, they were all tired and hungry. After some time, what happened? When they walked. After a while, after some time, they became hungry. They were tired as well as they were hungry. They wanted to eat something else. They got they got hungry. They wanted to eat something else. The fox, the leopard and the vulture looked at the camel. Then they looked at each other and smiled hungry smiles. They stopped because they could not move forward, because they were hungry, they were tired, and they tried to see each other and smiling something else. Why? Because they wanted to kill the camel, they wanted to eat the camel. This was the plan. They had brought the camel for the king's dinner. Now it was time for the feast. Finally, what happened? What was the plan? The plan was feast. The plan was dinner. Now it is time to eat something else. Now it was because the camel had been brought as a dinner for the king, and now it is a time for that. The Lion King knew what his courtiers were thinking. He called the camels to him. Kings know better, because already with the help of the king it was a plan. It was a plan of king and the courtiers. When the courtiers were looking each other smiling to see the camel, the king was thinking what the courtiers were thinking. That is why the king called to the camel to him. Friend camel, he said, I have to thank you for saving my life. You are welcome to live at my court as long as you like. I promise you my protection. When the courtiers were looking to each and smiling to each by looking over the camel, that time the king realized why the courtiers were thinking, and that time the king called to the camel and said, friend camel, the king said, I have to thank you. I'm very happy to you. I'm very happy to you. I'm very thankful to you because you saved my life. Because you saved my life. Because we know that the king came to the court by sitting on the back of the camel, because he was injured. He was he had the burnt paws. He could not run, he could not walk, but that time the camel helped him to sit at his back and help him to bring him to his court. That time the king was very happy and said him, King, the camel, I'm very happy, I'm very thankful to you because you saved my life. You are welcome to live at my court as long as you like. You came in my court, I welcome you my wholeheartedly, and you live here as long as you like. I promise you for my protection. I will give you my protection to you to save your life. Thank you. Have a nice day. Now you can take the homework. why king hanged to camel. Second, why leopard and vulture were surprised. First is why king thanked to camel, and second why leopard and vulture were surprised. And when they surprised, why they surprised, you know better. Thank you. Have a nice day.